Welcome in, everybody. This is David Shepard on SiriusXM Channel 86, and of course, heard on the SXM app. We are joined by a longtime radio veteran. He's a talented host, both nationally and locally. And right now, you can find him on Into the Winklerverse with the very great Bart Winkler. Bart, first and foremost, it's been a minute. How you been, my friend?
Doing good. I have to apologize if this is something that you've covered a lot, because then that would mean that I haven't been listening to you every night, David. But I was just doing a show
Yes.
earlier today with Carlos Ortiz, who produced my show at Infinity, and because I'm a Bucks guy and he's a Bulls guy,
Right.
and so the Bulls snapped their 11 game losing streak on Sunday by beating the Bucks. And I didn't know they had an 11 game losing streak until I knew they snapped it by beating the Bucks.
Right. Right.
How I don't care if you're tanking or whatever. How I don't know. Maybe there's too much going on, but I thought like an 11 game losing streak would have got to my ears and brain. I like the league. I cover it sort of. And a
You
team's on a
do.
losing streak. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's been tank mode for some teams. Adam Silver's done a great job of cleaning a lot of that up and making sure that the necessary fines are being, spewed out. But yeah, the Bulls, they haven't exactly been playing for this season, if you will. That was a bad loss for the Bucks, considering the Bucks were up by a significant amount of points. They were up double digits in the second half, and then lose by 23, if memory serves me correctly, to the hapless Chicago Bulls. So not a good look. But Bart, we do know that the big news on Monday is Giannis Antetokounmpo with the calf injury coming back and playing against the C's for the first time. He's going to be playing on a basketball floor in a competitive manner, not just coaching Shams Charania, your favorite. He is going to be returning after nearly a month and a half dealing with the calf injury. What do you expect from the two-time regular season MVP against the Boston Celtics on Monday?
Well, I'm first of all, we're glad he's back. I think that the last week of Bucks basketball has been very weird in terms of like you ask me my opinion on it,
Yeah.
and it's almost changing by the hour. Uh, Last week they put together some wins where they were good games. They played a Cavs team that was resting everybody, and they needed a last second, clock review to make sure that they had won that game. And I'd taken my kid to the Heat game, which was fun because they were down, but then they came back. Then they
Right.
got blown out by the Knicks, lose to the Bulls. The Celtics here tonight. It's just been a roller coaster of like what to expect, but also we didn't know when Giannis was going to return. I don't think there was. I was talking about this on Sunday night. Like I had said the words, I don't expect Giannis to play in March.
Right.
And then it's March 2nd, and then but so I think there's excitement, but there's also it's got to be the best thing for him, and it's got to be the best thing for the Bucks because they're in such a weird spot. You're talking about the tanking, almost like the NBA. I'll say this about the NBA is I don't think that their stretch run is as exciting maybe as some of the other down the stretch runs by different leagues because there's not really a pennant chase kind of feeling right now. You either have 20 teams or 19 teams that are probably in the tournament, if you're counting the play in, and there's some jockeying to be done there. You have 9 teams that aren't doing anything. They want to lose. Then you have the Bucks, who are like too good to be bad, but too bad to be good. And the games that they were having last week, it was like, okay, Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr., they're shooting great. You got this Jeng guy who's Man Jeng. We didn't know him, and now he's performing. Cam Thomas has had his moments. There's a lot of good things happening with the Bucks. Then you lose a couple games, and then all of a sudden, they're a few out of just the play-in. So I think the best course for them is to have Giannis be back, try to get that gap, try to get into the play-in, but it's not going anywhere without Giannis. Because even though there's been some bright spots without him,
Yeah.
if this team is going to do anything, and I'm even talking like make the play-in as a 10 seed and lose immediately, they're not going to do that even without Giannis. So it's a welcome sight to see him back.
Yeah, now I would push back on. I wanted to hear you out in full. I'm a huge NBA guy, so every month for me is scintillating. I get what you're saying because the modern phase of the NBA with this play-in format, it's new for a lot of old heads and traditionalists, but to me, it's just as exciting as any sport down the stretch. And to your point, the Bucks right now. They're a few games back of the Charlotte Hornets. And last time I checked, Bart, Hornets aren't getting worse, they're getting better. So I'm with you. I saw this news. I mean, when I was trying to find out when Giannis is coming back, there was really no
No.
clear timetable. The only thing I was seeing was, hey, he's rehabbing, but he's also going to the WWE Elimination Chamber. So to your point, I do feel like this came out of nowhere. And I would ask you, do you feel any kind of way about Giannis Antetokounmpo, the face of the franchise, in the middle of his rehab from the calf injury, you know, taking part in a WWE event, or do you just see, hey, that's the modern day athlete. They're going to do what they want anyway. Did that rub you the wrong way? Because it rubbed me the wrong way a little bit when I felt like the Bucks are out there playing winning basketball, believe it or not, without Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's showing up at the WWE, elimination chamber.
I would say no to the chamber, but I get no,
Yeah,
I get I mean I'm with you on your overall thought on it because I saw I saw him at the chamber,
right.
and I thought, well, that's interesting. What's he doing there? Then, okay, oh, the Bucks are in Chicago on Sunday afternoon, same building. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. He went to the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago that I had no idea of until I saw a video of that, which I don't believe was anywhere near where they were playing. So he's got all these other, and that was off the trade deadline thing. And then
Sure.
he's like, oh, by the way, I've got this agreement with a predictability thing, which seems weird. And then he's at the Super Bowl, and it's like, are you in? Or are you out? We went to some games last week. Giannis wasn't on the sideline. I don't know where he is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he should be. Should he be on the sideline every game? Should he not? But it's weird that like sometimes he is, sometimes he's not. It does feel like this whole thing feels 1 foot out the door, 1 foot still in,
Right.
or like he's on one of those sitcoms where he's eating dinner with his girlfriend at the back of the restaurant, but having drinks with his other girlfriend at the front of the restaurant. And he keeps making excuses to like, so I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if it rubs me like the wrong way, but it rubs me in a way I'm not finding pleasurable.
with Bart Winkler, of course, host of the Into the Winklerverse. You can check him out with his podcast on YouTube, on Twitter. Bart is very much adapted to all the social media websites that are out there. Longtime national radio host on CBS Sports Radio, and of course, locally in Wisconsin. The man knows Milwaukee Bucks basketball. So, Bart, you're kind of leading me to the next question. When you talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're right. I mean, we saw it a month and a half ago, him get at the podium and call out his teammates and sources told me, and I'm sure you got wind of this too. The players were not happy with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They felt like it was a house divided. It was Giannis versus everybody else, kind of calling them out publicly. They didn't appreciate that. And so my question for you is, look, we've seen in the past, Kobe Bryant not be happy in Los Angeles, publicly declare that he wants out, and then ultimately finish his career in LA and is an ultimate icon in that city for a damn good reason. Lamar Jackson in another sport wanted out of Baltimore. Fast forward 5 months later, he's the regular season MVP. So I ask you, with knowledge of that, what ultimately happens with Giannis in 2026, 2027? If you are in charge of the Milwaukee Bucks, what are you doing in a few months from now?
If I'm in charge, I'm keeping him. If I'm in charge, I don't think the grass is greener on the other side.
Sure.
I don't think there's going to be enough assets. I think you would get a pretty decent return, but I don't know that it's going to be the best the return could have been at this time. I'm glad they did not trade him in the middle of the season with the trade deadline
Same.
because um I don't there wasn't enough value for him. Like the Bucks traded him during the trade deadline season, they would have got a deal much worse than what I think they can get this summer, and there will be more players for that. So I'm glad for that they didn't trade him. If you're going to trade him, you want the best package. I think an issue is the way that we've viewed it in Milwaukee. And one of the things that riles me up so much is a lot of times what's happening here doesn't reflect what's being reported to everyone else. Giannis was not asking out. He was not. He was look. I'm not in these back rooms. I
Right.
don't have the sources. I don't have the Rolodex.
Right. Right.
I've
Right.
got I've got my eyes seeing this guy sign a piece of paper saying I want to stay 3 different times. That's what I know. And I do see him out and about in town, and he is unbothered. And I don't know why he would want to give that up. But I will say now, I think what has happened is over the course of, let's say, 10 years of rumors, this last summer, 2025, was the intersection of everyone thinks Giannis should leave, and Giannis probably thinks he should leave, and finally the Bucks realize it might be best for Giannis to leave.
Right.
Those all three things were coming together. Then it didn't happen. So now I think the Bucks are pulling back a little bit. Giannis, I think, wants to clone himself and live 2 lives. I think he wants a life where he lives in Milwaukee and sees what that's like for his whole career, but he also wants to play with other people and experience other things, as does anyone in their 30s in the world. So that's happening. But I'm saying the further we get from last summer, I think the more likely it is now that Giannis does stay. But these next 6 weeks, I think, might play a big role. If this team is competitive, gets into that play-in, wins a couple of games, plays Detroit, has Giannis tied after 4, maybe, makes Detroit nervous. God knows, wins. If there's enough signs that like this can work here with some of the other guys we brought in while you were, where in the world is Giannis at Antetokounmpo? Okay, if you're doing that, we've built something here while you've been doing that. But if it goes poorly, if Giannis is with these guys and they can't figure it out and they lose, and it's like, why'd you even come back? There's a very real, it's as real as ever that, yeah, he could be dealt, and especially with the extension coming up. So
Right.
it's interesting. I don't feel as confident. Like every checkpoint over the last 10 years, you would ask me, is Giannis getting traded? I'd say no.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Trade deadline, I thought no. Right now, coming into the summer, yeah, it's a 50-50 bargain, I think.
No, it's a fair point. Again, we're with Bart Winkler, host of the Into the Winklerverse. I highly encourage people to check it out. It's great content, great NBA, talk, and really gets into the nitty-gritty on what's going on with the Milwaukee Bucks. Bart, look, what's going to keep him, what's going to be that draw for Giannis Antetokounmpo is no question a winning program. That's what's going to keep him. He's going into, now I'm talking 2026, 2027. He's going to be in year 14 already. And so they've tried, right? They brought in Damian Lillard, gets hurt in the playoffs. That didn't work. They bring in Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner, all in all, has been solid, but maybe not the necessary second or third guy that they were hoping for in terms of complementing Giannis Antetokounmpo. You talk about the improved play of Ryan Rollins. You talk about what KPJ has done. They got some young pieces, but never that Robin for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bart, they haven't replaced Chris Middleton. They haven't replaced Drew Holiday. So, as someone that watches the Bucks, talks about the Bucks every day, where do you see the solution for Giannis in terms of him wanting to stay from a player personnel standpoint? Because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, he's got it. That's why I think these 6 weeks are important, and that's why I'm glad that he's back, so that he can like play with it and feel it, see what these guys have to offer. Maybe, build some chemistry on the court and start to believe, because you can't do that while you're sitting in the stands or even in his seats. If you choose to go to the sidelines for that game, you can't do that. So I do think these 6 weeks are going to be very important. Hopefully more, but probably not. But I do think these 6 weeks will be very important. And there's a lot to be said. Like I do also wonder if along the way, one of the guys he's going to look at in this process is Damian Lillard,
Yep.
who wanted so badly to leave Portland, and then it didn't work out in Milwaukee, and then he came back to Portland.
Great point.
So he may be seeing what's happening. And I'm telling, like Dame, you still got to do that trade 100 times out of 100. Even if you know it's not going to work, you still have to be like, but it might, but it didn't. But Damian Lillard now, the Dame you saw at the All-Star break with winning the three-point contest, if he's still in Milwaukee and he's just out for the year and they never do that thing where they take his contract and spread it and then get Miles Turner, Dame's not in that contest. Dame is more motivated, it looks like, to get back on that court and to play for Portland. Dame is having fun again. He's smiling again, in a way that he didn't here. Like you could show a Bucks fan two pictures of him smiling, and even if you thought they looked like the same smile, the Bucks fan would be able to tell you, no, that's the Milwaukee smile. He doesn't totally mean it.
Yeah.
That's the Portland smile. So maybe that factors in. But when Giannis talks, I take one of the answers that he says when he's like, you do wonder what it would have been like to play with LeBron James. You do wonder what it'd be like to play with, Luka, or in a different city. Or I think a lot of that is just common thoughts that every player has, but maybe doesn't externalize them. Like you can't tell me that Dirk after year 9 was like, what if I played somewhere? What would it, even if he didn't even know he was having the thoughts, because he'd be embarrassed to thought, he wouldn't say it. I feel like one thing that makes Giannis different than some of these other guys is you ask him a question, he gives you the answer, not an answer he thinks he should give you, not an answer he thinks you want to hear. He gives you the answer. So you learn more about him, but then it does open him up now to, does he want to be here? He said this thing, giving you ammunition of things to say that other people are not providing you. So this is a different situation. It's a different superstar. It's a different city. It had the result already. It's not like we're still begging for a chip with him. They got 2 of them, Shep. You're counting the NBA Cup like me, I hope.
I'm scratching my head, proverbially, of course, and I'm saying to myself, they got 2021, and I'm a Knicks fan, and I don't
Yeah.
count the cup for us, and we
And they
haven't won
got and they
since
got the
'73.
NBA Cup last
Right.
year.
Right. Yes, that's true. We were with Bart Winkler on host Into the Winklerverse. I highly encourage everyone to check it out for Milwaukee Bucks content. Longtime national radio host, local host in Wisconsin. Bart, I got 2 more for you. You're well aware of what Adrian Griffin did 2 years ago, and you know he went 30-13, and you know he had the second best record in the conference, and he was quote unquote too demanding, and so they wanted to turn the page. Doc Rivers now is in year 3 as a head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. They haven't won a playoff series, and they are a 500 team with Glenn Rivers. And I call him Glenn because not everyone's going to
Wow.
give him that title of Doc. Let's be true about that for a second.
Wow.
Jared, listen, Doc Rivers is one of the most charismatic figures in the history of the NBA. Okay? And I played against his son in Connecticut, Jeremiah, the older Rivers son. When the guy that balled out at Indiana and Georgetown, I was playing against him. So I got nothing but love for the Rivers family. But Bart, we got to keep it real about Doc Rivers. Is he really the answer for the Milwaukee Bucks moving forward?
I don't know that there's anybody that would say yes
Right.
to that. I don't know how you could. A lot of times I think of like, well, what if I had to? What if I had to tell Shep right now, yes, Doc Rivers is the answer for the Milwaukee Bucks? How would I think back to 12th grade debate class. How would
Sure.
I craft that argument? I don't even know. I would have nothing for you. And you bring up Adrian Griffin, and I know the team kind of mutinied on him or whatever.
30-13, Bart.
Yeah, but
What in their right mind are they thinking? When a rookie head coach has the second best record in the conference, and he was brought in
mhm.
because Mike Budenholzer was too much of a quote unquote player coach and leaned a little bit too much into the, hey, I'm gonna be not exactly a dictator, and I'm not going to be a guy who's out there getting in the grill and the faces of players. I'm going to be hands off. And so you went in a different direction. Now we know the tragedy that Mike Budenholzer was dealing with from a family perspective, and more power to him for being able to coach in the first place. But they were going in a different direction for a reason. They got the different direction, and then his partying gift is we're going to get rid of you when you're 30 and 13 and have a 700 winning percentage for God's sakes.
Yeah, so the Griffin stuff, I don't know everything that happened there, but I do know what it I think signified is that there is a standard that needs to be met, and even with that record, he wasn't meeting that standard. So if that's the case, Doc Rivers, and I don't know about off the court and how he gets along with the players,
Right.
but on the court, if Adrian Griffin was not good enough for you, but I don't understand how this version of Doc Rivers is. There was a time when I was covering the team almost every night in the locker room when Jason Kidd was the coach. And there was something they lost. I'd have to think about what happened, but I know there was a Jabari Parker like benching aspect to it or light minutes. It was really weird. It was a weird game. They lost. Kid was supposed to do his press conference after. He was like an hour late. We thought he wasn't coming because he was going to get fired. And then he showed up and then, he got fired eventually later. But throughout the course of a season, why I bring that up is when you're a team like this, there are those nights that you think this has to be it. This is untenable. This has to be it. There was one or two of those nights with Kidd. Doc Rivers this year, they lost to the Kings. They lost to the Hornets without LaMelo or Miller. They've lost to the Wizards 3 times. They lost to the Nets by 45. They lost to the Nuggets twice when they were without 4 of their starters twice. They
Right.
lost in January, back-to-back games where they trailed by 40. They just lost to this Bulls team where they haven't won in over a month. There are so many this has to be it for this guy. So I don't know I don't know. What's bugging me about the Doc thing is there's been so much wrong he has done that it seems like there's immunity here. And oh no, maybe you'll save it, you'll fire him in the offseason. They've given you no indication. So when everybody's putting together these oh, if the Bucks next year have Giannis and we make this trade and we have another year of Rollins and KPJ and you got AJ Green and this Jang turns out to be something and whatever Cam Thomas, you can't go anywhere with it because Doc's still sitting there. And I don't know, I'm trying to figure out why does he have such a long leash? Is it a Jimmy Haslam thing? This is a guy who bought into this team. We never talk about him. He's not the main governor right now,
Right.
but that
Majority
doesn't mean
governor.
he
Right.
doesn't have a say in what's going on. So I can't answer your question with a yes. I don't know why he's still here. Every couple of nights, it seems like this has to be it. But he's a cat with 9 lives. But then if I have an analogy that's going nowhere, I was going to say he's a cat with 99 lives and even the other cats are jealous. Didn't really work. You
It's not a
get the
bad line.
idea.
Oh, I would have bought that 100%.
I
That
know, but
works.
I
Yeah.
came into it a little clunky.
Okay. Got it. Got it. I think the delivery was on point. I was going with it. You're the one that sabotaged your own joke there.
I'm very, very proud of my analogies.
Yes.
And that one
Yes.
I didn't know about at the time.
Like my analogy would be like he's anything but Doc because the only thing he operates is, running teams into the ground. Like that would be my analogy when it comes to Doc Rivers, and
So
I
I
don't
should
think
have
that
said
works.
even the cats with 9 lives say he's a cat with 9 lives.
Right, right, something to that effect. Again, we are joined by the great Bart Winkler on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86. You can check him out on Into the Winkleverse. Bart, finish the sentence for me. Giannis in his debut against the Boston Celtics will what?
He will he will make me a believer in a 10 seed run once again.
Okay, so you have the Bucks keeping it close while they host the Celtics on Monday, is what you're saying. I know it's not a
Only
season
because I
debut,
saw
but
only
yeah.
only because I saw Jalen Brown's out.
Okay. I mean that's an MVP candidate right there.
That's something.
Yeah, man. So, hey, listen, man, for all the people watching this, um, and all the people that enjoyed the heck out of you on CBS Sports Radio and the Infinity Sports Network, how can they access you every single day in terms of what you're doing from a sports content perspective?
I was just looking at the lineup, by the way. It looks like Jason Tatum's also out. Is this common knowledge to anybody?
Yeah, he might be returning after that gruesome injury in the postseason against the Knicks. He's been out now for
What?
11 months or
See, I
12.
missed the bold streak. I missed this. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you for your promotion. Into the Winklerverse is the name of the podcast. So we do talk a lot of Bucks on there. Sometimes we go live after games, and anywhere on social, Bart Winkler or Bart Winkler Show.
All right. Well, Bart Winkler, we'll have you on again on SiriusXM NBA Radio. It's great to talk shop. It's great to talk hoops with you, man. Continued success. I know people hit me up all the time about, what Bart's up to, what JR is up to.
I'm sure.
Host that. What's that?
I said I'm sure they do.
They do. I'm
I
not.
said I'm sure they do.
No, they do. They do. That's why I was like, I got to get Bart on SiriusXM NBA Radio because he's great at what he does.
Well, Doc
Um,
Rivers has taken some of my cat lives because I feel like I had two of them and now I'm
yeah, but I
dead.
don't see a lot of grays though, man. So you're doing okay. It's not really taking that much of an effect on you.
I'm gaining weight though in my belly.
Well, it doesn't come off on a Zoom. Let's put it that way. That is the great Bart Winkler on SiriusXM NBA Radio, Channel 86. And again, I highly encourage everyone to check out his podcast, his YouTube channel at Into the Winklerverse. Bart, thank you again, man. We'll do this again soon. Stay cool and continue with those 99 Lives cat analogies, okay?
Thanks, Shep.